Hey, this is Mira. I'm hoping that you guys will be able to hear me because there's some traffic outside. I'll run this and make sure. I've threatened for a while to do a video rambling about The Prisoner, which is my favorite TV show of all time. I had a DVD set when I was a teenager and I brought it to college, and I went through it multiple times, forcing each new friend group to watch it, and I swear this is true. They all thanked me. They all loved it. So I'm gonna, for those of you who don't know The Prisoner, I'm gonna run through some of its themes and some important episodes, and for those of you who have seen The Prisoner, I'm gonna offer my opinions on some kind of ambiguous things in the show, and I'll let the new people know when I'm about to say spoilers. So I'll save that stuff for the end. Now, The Prisoner is a British TV show, one season from, I think, 1967, and it is starring and led by Patrick McGoohan, who had previously been on a spy show called Danger Man. So here's the very basic premise. Our hero is a gentleman spy of the, TV show Danger Man, or alternately James Bond, or 60s Avengers, Man from U.N.C.L.E. variety. And one day, seeming very angry, he quits his job. He goes home, plans to go on vacation, and then he gets knocked out, abducted, wakes up in this place that's just called The Village, which is this weird, almost like Alice in Wonderland-y kind of town where everything seems very nice but works according to very strange rules. It is run by some spy masters, and they refuse to tell him whether they're on the east or west side of the Cold War, or if it's a little of both. And they are trying to break him. And the first thing they want to know is why he resigned. He doesn't want to tell him. And so for the rest of the show, it's this battle of wills between the people who run the village and the titular prisoner, or as they call him, Number 6. One of the recurring lines in the intro is, "I am not a number, I'm a free man." Now, let's see. This show is, it's fun just in terms of you never know what weird stuff is going to happen. And in terms of 6 is a very strong character. I am also going to digress a little bit into theater kid stuff. Have any of you heard of Bertolt Brecht and his theory of alienation, which is basically that acting will never be naturalistic. You shouldn't even try. What you want to do is, if you want to convey ideas, you make these characters symbolic, archetypal, although with little things about them that throw you off. And the idea is you don't come away like from a melodrama going, "Oh, that's so sad that happened to them." You go away thinking, I wonder, that was very strange. I wonder if that sort of thing happens in real life, or I wonder what I think about it. Alienation, because you are sort of playing with how the audience reacts to it. And a lot of the plays Brecht himself wrote have sort of title cards explaining the moral here. And The Prisoner, for a long time, I thought I wasn't really into Brechtian style theater. And then I realized The Prisoner is a decent example because it could be captioned society versus the unbreakable man. And each episode we see, can they break him, until we get to the end, and then maybe not. You'll have to watch it and see, or if you've seen it before, wait till the end for my opinion. The 6, like I said, is a very strong character, and what I really like about him, he is almost always, with a couple important exceptions, nonviolent. But his thing is kind of, integrity. He's not a seducer. He's not a ladies' man. There's one sort of love interest who eventually comes up, but for the most part, he Patrick McGoohan very specifically did not want his character to be a James Bond style womanizer. So a lot of the female characters are just sort of, treated as male characters would be, which is pretty nice. The person he's always facing off with is called Number Two, and it's a role that seems to have a lot of turnover in this organization. There's always a new one in each episode. My favorite is Leo McKern, who is in the episode Chimes of Big Ben, and he is this deep-voiced, sort of almost jovial, real, like, country gentleman kind of guy. If you've ever seen The Maltese Falcon, he's got this voice and attitude a lot like Sidney Greenstreet in The Maltese Falcon. When we watched it, actually, this episode, my dad said, I bet this guy was in the Royal Shakespeare Company. And we looked it up, and he was. And he actually returns, and you will be very happy when he returns. Now, something I should mention about if you want to watch The Prisoner is there's no agreed episode order, which is really frustrating because you can right now watch it on Amazon Prime or on Canopy, but the episodes are not in the same order as I watched them on the DVD. And this is a debate that has been going back to since The Prisoner aired, because it's aired in different orders. It's very obviously episodic, though the first episode has to be the first and the last two episodes have to be the last two. And it doesn't really matter, but it gives you a different arc. If you watch it in the order that it's streaming right now, it's sort of a very zigzaggy, up and down. Sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses. If you watch it the way I did on the DVD set, there's a turning point. Like, for a while he's just desperate to get out of here, and then there's a turning point with the episode A, B, and C, which I'll talk about in a moment, where he sort of decides, fine, maybe I can't get out of here, but I can make you regret you ever brought me here. And that's great. So I'm going to talk about a couple of my favorite episodes. So I mentioned A, B, and C. This is really great. This is where the village, and I should mention, this is all very sort of 60s high tech. You're not supposed to think this is an accurate depiction of futuristic technology. It's very stylized. So this is where they kind of enter his dreams to try to trick him in his dreams, to let them know what secrets he's hiding. And this is fun kind of because you see, you see what his relationships outside the village used to be. You see a couple other spies he's dealing with, and also you see this Number Two like going slowly insane from the pressure of the job, and that's very darkly funny. Let's see, another episode that I think is very important. I mentioned the Chimes of Big Ben, so let's see. There's one called Living in Harmony, and I want to spoil the twist of this episode, but I can't. You just have to see it. I will say this is one of the ones that's more violent, and there's a reason for it. Everything in this episode is different. And Number 6 is he the same character? Is he in a different genre where like I said, traffic. Is he in a different genre where the rules have changed a bit? But even there, the violence is established as this is something he does not want to do. The episode Schizoid Man, I mentioned they're sort of trying to break him. This is the nastiest they get. The term gaslighting is thrown a lot on the internet these days, and as always, I recommend you watch the Ingrid Bergman film Gaslight to know what it's supposed to mean. But this episode is gaslighting taken to the extreme. And sort of in his position, you can kind of feel him fighting against losing his own sense of reality. And it's so creepy. For the other side, I said that's as cruel as they get. The episode Hammer into Anvil is the cruelest he gets. And in fact, they go so far, they establish at the beginning, they have a scene of great evil on the part of this particular number 2, just so the rest of the episode will be acceptable. Just so you don't think number 6 is being too sadistic to his captor. And the thing about this, one of the reasons this is so important, is this is showing you what he was like when he was a master spy. Or rather, this is showing you why he was a master spy. And in terms of secrecy, deviousness, complete poker face, it's scary and it's wonderful. Is there any that I wrote down that I haven't talked about? Well, let me briefly touch on the 2-part finale. Again, I'll go into greater detail after the spoiler warning. So part 1 of the finale is strange and kind of surreal, but it's in the vein of the show. It's not entirely out of the box, if that makes sense, but it turned up to it's this pitched battle of wills to the death. And then the second part of the finale, people either love it or hate it. I'm closer to loving it, I think, and I'll get into that in a minute. Patrick McGowan actually had to move because people kept coming up on the street to yell at him about the finale. I wasn't sure how I felt about it the first time I saw it, but repeated viewings I've thought, you know what? Yeah, this is going all out. This is kind of gonzo. I believe the production designer on this series also did Clockwork Orange, and you can very much see the influence there. And this is just like an explosion of ideas. And I think it's a bit of a troll because it gives you answers, but not really clear ones. I think I understand it, and that's all I need to say. The Prisoner has been very influential in a number of ways. There are some things that are obviously influenced by it, like the movie Cube or the book and TV series Wayward Pines, but also just its aesthetics. The Good Place, actually, especially season 1, has aesthetics that I think are kind of similar, especially Eleanor's house. These sort of blocky, they describe it as Scandinavian designs, and sort of everyone being extremely forcefully cheerful, and sort of these, like I said, everything is color blocked. And this may have been a direct reference to The Prisoner, or it may have been both of them pulling from this idea that when everything is a little too twee, that's unnerving. Either way, I think it works as visual foreshadowing that there's something not quite right about this place and that our heroes will be attempting to escape. In general, I think it's a lot of fun on the level of just watching and seeing what will happen and loving the main character, etc. But it's also a show that sort of makes you think about questions of integrity, questions of strength of mind, of the Cold War, of how different were the sides to begin with. And it's only one season. So watch it. It's fun. It's strange. Do a live blog. I'll see if I can find a link to the order of the DVD episodes to put in the thing if you want to watch it that way. Or if not, watch it the streaming way. That's got its own arc, I'm sure. And so now from here, I'm going to get into some amount of spoilers. So if you haven't seen the show and want to go into it without knowing this stuff, you can stop now. If you've seen it before, or if you just don't care about spoilers, and I probably won't get too technically detailed, then keep watching. So, question 1. Why did number 6 resign? I actually think this is really clear in the show. Not everyone agrees with me. I've heard the theory that he was just tired of being a number and a cog in the machine, and I'm sure to a certain extent it was that. But when asked directly, the closest thing we get to an answer is in the episode The Chimes of Big Ben, when he says, "I resigned as a matter of conscience." Now consider a couple things. His usual, with a couple exceptions, dislike of violence, the fact that Patrick McGoohan actually turned down the role of James Bond because he said he disapproved of him morally, which is a pretty good reason not to play James Bond if you don't want to do that sort of thing, because he does a lot of it. He was being asked to do things that he couldn't morally justify. He didn't want to keep doing it. He basically tells them that in a number of ways, over and over, and because they can't conceive that morality could enter into the business of espionage or politics or patriotism, what have you, they don't get it. He's told them, and they haven't gotten it. And rather than spell it out, his attitude is, if you don't get it, you can wonder until the day you die. Now, like I said, that's one I'm sure on. I'm less sure about the finale, and I think that's fine because McGoohan specifically has refused to give answers about some of the questions raised by the finale, and if he wanted us to have a specific answer, he would have told us. So the big question people ask is, has he really escaped? Or is this whole thing a false escape engineered by the village to trick him? I think he really escaped. I think he confronts the reality of who it is keeping him prisoner. In the sort of cultish scenes, he confronts the idea of these people, they're nuts. They're not masterminds. They are fumbling around, and that's the scariest part is, of the Cold War, is these nuclear weapons are being controlled by people who are either fools or maniacs. And I think he gets out. Now, the thing is, though, that doesn't make it a totally happy ending, because that leaves the big question, what now? He can't trust his own government. He can't trust Russia if he wanted to defect. He's escaped from one prison. Where does he go from here? And I don't know, and he probably doesn't know. But I'll give him the chance to celebrate. I think number 6 has earned it. Thank you for watching. I hope the traffic isn't too loud. And I hope you watch The Prisoner. Be seeing you.